Hello, everybody. I'm Pam Conrice of Strategic Communications. If you have any questions for the panelists or presenters, please put them in the Q&A, and you can continue to put your October favorites into the chat. Yes, it's already October. I see Vice President Glenda Humiston, so let's get this party started. Glenda?
Great, Pam. How are you doing?
Good.
Sorry, I was just trying to pay attention to one big announcement here, which is that the state travel ban was voted out in the legislature and the governor signed it. And although it did take a few days to get through the paperwork within UC, it is officially off our record. So there is no more travel ban. That's effective September 13th, although the actual issuance date for that was just a week or so ago, early in October. So if anybody has questions about that, BOC has more info. You can contact them. But yes, we do not have a travel ban, although it is worth noting that while the folks that process travel, especially on the Davis campus and elsewhere, while they're adjusting to this, it may be an extra week or two of time while, reimbursements get processed. Other than that, lots going on right now. This is a crazy busy travel month. We just were last week down in Southern California for the Economic Summit. We took 25 folks down there, the new cohort of the Community and Economic Development advisors and specialists and some academic coordinators, and had a really great meeting for a few hours, and then invited in some key partners, particularly from the governor's office, GoBiz, OPR, RCRC, the Rural County Supervisors, CSN Network, and had just a very lively meet and greet for an hour before we all went to the opening reception. And everybody just had a great amount of networking there. So I think it was extremely successful. I know Brent's going to talk about the new AES campuses and their trip there. The other thing I would just want to mention is reminding folks that we are in the midst of this call for positions right now. And I hope you are active with your program teams, your county or rec leadership, whomever, and really just offering up thoughts and ideas about that. We want to really take a thoughtful look about where there are gaps and holes and specialties and disciplines and issue areas that need to be filled. We've put a whole lot of new people into the field this last couple of years, thanks to the Laird funding, but we've also had a lot of turnover. We've had retirements, we've had folks moving into other positions. So this is a great time to just really take a step back, thoughtfully look at our map, our issues, our specialties, and see where an additional 30 bodies can do the most good for our mission and our ability to deliver it. So with that, unless there's any questions, let me hand it over to Brent.
All right. And I assume, Pam, we're going to have time for questions at the end as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, as Glenda noted, and if you saw my blog, we have 2 new AES campuses that we brought on board, and a group of us went and met with leadership from across the 2 campuses, Merced and Santa Cruz, and spent a couple of days actually working with them to not only help them stand up their AES programs, but walk through the process of them actually selecting faculty. And one of the expectations is that all AES faculty will have projects that they'll be working on. And we talked about reporting and the finances and the whole organization of it. And so here you see we also took tours. The first picture and actually the The third picture are from, actually the first picture is from Merced, and the second and third picture are from Santa Cruz. And so we not only got a view of what their current reality is as an AES campus, but specifically in the case of Merced, you can see they have renderings of what their new AES facilities, fields, and focuses are going to be. So they have some really cool renderings. Most of you know that Merced is the newest of the UC campuses. And so the beautiful thing about both Merced and Santa Cruz is that they're getting to reimagine this from the ground up. We also saw some really cool use of technologies on the Santa Cruz campus, and you can see there's actually a piece of equipment that took technology via the Vine and our folks there, and they've created a weeder that actually can go down through the rows, and using basically off-the-shelf cameras and computer algorithms, they identify what is the plant, what isn't the plant, and they take out everything that is not in the specs. So and then they also have an aquaculture that is really, really cool, and you can see that in the third picture. But across the board, we had really good visits. We are ongoing in discussions with the leadership, both in terms of specialists and AES faculty, and getting them up to speed, getting them up and running. And so we're very, very excited about that. And would you mind going back one slide? The other item is escaping me.
The tour?
Oh, working lands tour. Thank you. Golly. So for new academics, and actually we've opened it up to all academics, both faculty and specialists, as well. Yeah, that we are hosting a tour of Hopland and Sierra foothills that will provide opportunities for the academics to view what potential projects they might line out around the Working Lands Research and Extension Centers. If you have questions about that, please let me know. I'm happy to connect you. There's been an open and ongoing call for that, and we fully expect not only to do this tour with the Working Lands possibly again in the spring, but showcase other recs and opportunities in the future for research and collaborations throughout our recs. So special thanks to our two rec directors. Their work in preparing this, both at Hopland and at Sierra, are well noted and highly appreciated, and certainly our PSU folks as well for collaborating that. One thing from Vice Provost Daniel Obrist, he is currently traveling, so he's not able to join. The merit promotion process is kicked off. And so those of you who have indicated that you are participating, please prepare your materials and get them in by the deadline in December. We are working to obviously continually improve the process so that it makes sense and that we're able to provide timely feedback. So with that, I'm happy to pass it off to Kathy.
Just a minute. Brent, for those who aren't familiar with AES, could you take a second to explain what that is, what an AES campus is?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
And remind folks the new name is Ag Innovation.
Yes. So it used to be called our Ag Experiment Stations, AES, Ag Experiment Stations. Sorry, we do this. We speak in acronym soup and assume that everybody knows. But I'll tell you, having come, I'm learning all sorts of acronyms and just throwing them in. So each one of our 5 5 of the 10 UC campuses are now designated as ag innovation campuses or experiment station campuses. And this is based on the Hatch Act. And so that was established in 1887, which enabled the creation of our AES campuses, or the ag innovation campuses. Just so you know, the experiment station directors met earlier this fall and voted unanimously to adopt the new moniker of ag innovation. So as a Western region, we are now known as Ag Innovation West. So as a result, there's just kind of a unique opportunity, because what it does is it allows for faculty who are identified on those campuses to not only receive additional support for projects through capacity funds, but also opens up the opportunity to go after competitive funds. There's an expectation that all faculty with that designation participate and have an approved project approved by USDA to participate as faculty. And again, it opens the campus up for additional funding, but also, and that's state and federal funding from a capacity standpoint, money that's provided. But then there's also, again, that competitive pool that by and large increases the capacity of the campuses and the faculty to do world-class research. So the bottom slide that or bottom picture you're seeing there is a great example of a project that is ongoing at UC Santa Cruz that, while not yet an AES or an ag experiment station or ag innovation supported project, very well could be, because it's around the field of ag robotics and may fit very nicely in a project. So I hope that explains it.
Robin Sanchez was asking, when will the name change be effective?
So yeah, the ag innovation is effective now. How far it drills down to the individual campuses, Glenda?
Yeah, and you know, Robin, you might be asking for the legal question there. The authorization of the Hatch Act in Congress has not officially changed anything. Ag innovation is probably the equivalent of, for us, like a working title.
Correct.
Yeah, so it's related to the branding and our ability to tell the story. The legal name of the funding we receive and the congressional authorization would still say Agricultural Experiment Station.
Kathy, would you like to tell us about the strategic visioning?
I would love to. Thank you, Pam. So we had talked about the strategic visioning process for UC ANR. Those of you that attended the conference in April, you know, we officially kicked that process off at that meeting. We then sent out a survey to just over 3,000 recipients across the state of California, both internal, all of our internal staff and academics received the survey, along with many external stakeholders as well. We had about a 30% response rate. So we received just over 900 responses from people across the state telling us what they thought the most important challenges are to California, and which of those challenges UC ANR should focus its research and extension efforts on. So the Strategic Visioning Committee met just this week, all day Tuesday and all day Wednesday, and they have come up with a draft refresh of our mission statement and a vision statement for ANR. They've also come up with a draft list of challenge areas for the state of California that UC ANR will focus on for the next 15 years. Before that document is finalized, we want to hear from all of you. So invitations have gone out now a couple of times. I think the last one went out yesterday or the day before. This week, for you to attend any one of these feedback sessions, so that we scheduled them around the state. If you can attend in person, that would be wonderful. We will have a 2-hour, the in-person sessions will have a 2-hour presentation and feedback business portion, and then we're going to have a luncheon and networking, because I know a lot of times you enjoy meeting colleagues from your region. If you can't attend one of the in-person sessions, please do attend one of the Zoom sessions. We definitely want to hear from all of you. This is an important document in that it will direct our work and our allocation of resources for the next 15 years. So we absolutely do not want this to be finalized without every one of you having an opportunity to provide feedback. So we've already had 2 input points, and this is a feedback point before this document is finalized. There will be 1 additional feedback point as we get further along. So please do sign up for one of these sessions. And we'd love to see you in person, if not on Zoom. And that's all I have. Thanks, Pam.
Thanks, Kathy. And I'll drop the link to the
Oh, I can hit send. I've got it all ready to go. So there you go.
Terrific.
That's the link to the to sign up for the session. Thank you, Pam.
You're welcome. Hey, Glenda, could you answer real quick how the natural resources topic fits into the story, given the new ag innovation name?
It fits in exactly the same way it did under the agricultural experiment station. And I was actually just now trying to Google up the official legal definition that includes that. I'll throw that into that answer in just a few minutes. But because of the way the realities of what serves ag is pretty broadly defined, ag and food, it opens up like ecosystems and watersheds and all that, because they're part of what, you know, furnishes water for ag, among other things. Or at least that's the argument we've always made. And thus far, they funded that kind of research, so I think they still will.
Great, thank you. Let's move on to stories from the field. Up next, we have Jennifer Siddell, Program Policy Analyst in Program Planning and Evaluation. She'll talk about UC Delivers. And Kelly Hong, CalFresh Healthy Living UCCE Community Education Specialist. And she will be talking about promoting healthy eating practices.
Awesome. Thank you, Pam. Yeah, hi, I'm Jen Snell, again, Program Planning and Evaluation, joined by Kelly Hong out of San Luis Obispo and Santa Barbara counties. And we are here to tell you a little bit more about the blog UC Delivers, what it is, why you should contribute your stories, and to highlight Kelly's story from the field. So many of you may already be familiar with the blog, but we have a lot of new folks, so we wanted to share a little bit about the blog's purpose and provide some resources for writing your own post. You'll get to hear also about the awesome workshop that Kelly led and that she wrote about here, Teens Love Cooking. And as one of your colleagues, she can actually speak a little bit more about the experience of writing in the UC Delivers format, which is very specific, and submitting a post through our portal. Historically, most of the contributors have been ANR academics, but we would love to see more stories from our community educators in the field. Next slide, please. Okay, 6 things to know about UC Delivers. 1, it's accessible through the ANR portal, and the whole program planning and evaluation team is here to help you navigate that process. 2, the format is designed to help you think through how and why your work makes a larger impact. It is organized into 3 sections: the issue, which is the big framework for why what you're doing matters, the project, the intervention, the training, etc. Second part, the UC Delivers part, is the description of the actual thing you, and if you have them, collaborators did. And then it finishes off with a description of the impacts of your intervention. All of these are like 1 single paragraph each. So it's rather prescriptive, but we've heard from a lot of folks that actually having this template is really great and they can use it for other reporting. Third thing to know about UC Delivers. It's designed to help you really focus on how you measured your outcomes and what the implications will be, and gives you an opportunity and a platform to really think through and work with all the amazing evaluative data that folks are collecting every day as you do your work. More broadly, the blog fits into the strategic plan by increasing our virtual reach and strengthening communication and advocacy. In that, it reinforces the public benefit of UCANR's work. The blog is about communicating the amazing research, education, and community engagement ANR employees do in a way that is concise and accessible for lay audiences. Lastly, you and your team are doing excellent work. Let's take a chance to highlight it and celebrate it. Next slide, please. So what can UC Delivers do for you and your work beyond the celebration? So one, it's great for professional development and advancement. For academics, you can use your dossier to put together a story. UC Delivers posts count in your supporting documentation under publications bibliography. And I have a way faster turnaround time than most editors of academic journals. So come on board. You need it fast? I'm here for you. And for those of you who are not submitting a program review dossier, writing this up is a great professional growth opportunity. And sharing the impacts and learning how to communicate that is a wonderful item to include in your own annual performance reviews. Second, posts provide fodder for a lot of reporting for funders, for our organizational-wide reports like the annual report, as well as our county reports, all of which is fed over to strategic communications to share out and builds our public relations. And it also is used as material to talk with legislators through our government relations team. Lastly, posts also get promoted through social media channels. So UC Delivers provides a place for your story to live, get linked back to. Also, it's got a very cool retro blog vibe. So share it and it will be there. Next slide, please. So please reach out with questions, with story ideas. You can look at our previous posts. If you're trying to figure out how to measure and write up the impact of your work, please visit the Program Planning and Evaluation page for resources, including recordings of all our recent workshops on building your evaluation capacity. With that, I would like to turn it over to Kelly. Thanks so much.
Great. Thank you, Jennifer. So if we go to the next slide, you can see that I was able to post to the UC Delivers blog, and I'm covering over a Teens Love Cooking series that we did in the summer with some high schoolers. And the main reason why I decided to post to the blog was to increase our program visibility. We do so many awesome things, and I just really wanted to highlight and share the work that we're doing. So the UC Delivers blog was a really tangible way for me to do that. Secondly, like Jennifer mentioned, it was just a way for me to grow in my professional development. I just had a personal goal of practicing my written communication. So this was, again, just low-hanging fruit for me. And if we go to the next slide, you'll see that, like Jennifer also mentioned, it's very prescriptive. So if you're not used to writing, this is a great place to start to tell your story. The blog is meant for you to highlight your work and tell your story. And it goes over exactly what you need to cover. It's short and simple, and there's resources to help you along the way. So it goes exactly over what to include. And something that I found useful was the archive. So even after you write or read over the how to write a UC Delivers blog, if you're like me and you were still not sure where to start, you can check out the archive and see what your colleagues have written and what has been posted in the past as well. And going to the next slide. So now I get to talk about the work that we did in our Teens Love Cooking class. But first, just wanted to get our minds in the right gear. I have some questions we'll go over. One is, what % of youth do you think eats out on a given day? And the second one is just a true and false question. So do you think it's safe to clean a knife with soap and water and scrub in an up and down motion? So if we can go ahead and launch that poll. First question, a lot of you guessed 66%. Thankfully, that's not the answer. Kind of a trick question there. It's 36%. So that's about 1 in 3 youth will eat out on a given day. Thankfully, it is not 66%, but 36%, we still have work cut out for us, right? So of those that eat out, typically what we find is older youth, such as middle school age and high schoolers, are the ones who are eating out the most. And for our second question, false. Yes, most of us got this right. So this is something we probably don't think about when we're cleaning our dishes. We're just scrubbing around, right? But with a knife, because it is sharp and increased chance of injury, we want to scrub downwards in a singular motion and never having your hand go up against the sharp end of the blade. So it might seem like a no-brainer, but again, we're working with teens, so these are things we need to think about. All right, we can close out the poll and move forward to the next slide. So now's the fun part. I hope you have lunch, because this will be terribly dreadful for you otherwise. I get to talk about what we did in our Teens Love Cooking cooking series. But first, just talking about why did we implement this program to begin with. We know that many youth and families rely on the school meal programs throughout the school year, but especially in lower income communities, we know that they lose that access over the summer, and research tells us that teens especially are more likely to eat out after school and over the summertime. So outside of school times is when we see teens looking for fast food items, because they see it as affordable and convenient. And many of them don't have the skills or the confidence to cook these foods for themselves. But as you can see in the photos on our right-hand side, some of these foods are very familiar to students and what they might be finding in these fast food eateries, pizza and fried rice, but they got to make it start to finish all from scratch. And I really like the top photo because you can see students were taking it home as well. They were wrapping up their pizza up in foil. Many of them were so proud of what they made. They wanted to take it home to share with their family. We can go to the next slide. I'll talk about more specifically what we got to do throughout the cooking series. To even have this program, we didn't do on our own. It was a collective effort. We got to partner with the Santa Maria Recreation and Parks program in Santa Barbara County, and they provided the space. So you can kind of see in some of the photos, we're in a commercial kitchen from one of the community centers. They also provided staff time, and also were able to register students. So they did a lot of work for us, which was great. And this year in particular, we got to partner with the UCCE Master Food Preserver program as well. And that was a wonderful cross collaboration. Not only did we get to make recipes that we wouldn't have made otherwise, but it was just a more extension effort, more resources for the community that many of them didn't know about. So if you look at the top photos, they made some quick kimchi, and each class we would go over a lesson, and then students would get to practice everything they learned. So you can see they're practicing food safety, they're practicing knife skills, and they got to take home everything they made, which was really great. And overall, this was a 4-class cooking series focused on culinary skills, food safety, and nutrition. We did follow a curriculum specific to teens, and this curriculum was also unique in that it covered information that students would need to obtain a food handler's certificate. So we covered the cost for students who were eligible to take the exam and interested. In this class, we did have 6 students interested. Only 1 completed the exam and obtained their permit. But it was interesting to look over and see that maybe there's a gap that we need to work on filling in future programs. And in addition to just the class time, participants went home with reinforcement items such as measuring cups, cutting boards, and things like that, so that they can take what they learned and practice that at home. They also got to take home all of the recipes that we went over and a list of where to find that information, which at the very end, I'll share our recipes with you as well. And they also got to take home the packet of information that was covered during the lessons so that they could study for their exam and just to have at hand for themselves too. And if we can go to our next slide, thank you. So looking at the impact, so what we got to cook. What came of that? Well, we know that research says that when we cook with youth and teach them these healthy living skills at a young age, they're likely to carry it into adulthood. And that could be so beneficial for them in preventing different negative health outcomes. So something that we did is at the end of each week, we collected some evaluations, and some of the questions included, what, if anything, did you learn from these classes? And what, if anything, would you do differently as a result of participating in these classes? And some of the things that these participants reported included increased knife skills, knife safety knowledge, increased understanding of nutrition. So part of the curriculum goes over my plate and dietary recommendations. They also reported just an increased knowledge of healthy food preparation. So not just what does healthy food look like and how is it good for them, but how can they practically practice that at home. And a lot of them reported that because they learned how to use a knife and all of this cooking equipment, that they were a lot more comfortable using it and were more likely to cook at home. And in addition, just to the feedback from the survey results that we got, it was really interesting hearing the stories from families as well. We had a mom share with us after the first day of cooking that her son loved the class, that he eats eggs every day, and that he came home sharing how proud he was that he got to make an egg in class. So every student got to crack an egg and make their egg on the stovetop. And she was just sharing with us how proud he was and how he's excited to make eggs himself now. So that was really great to see just how impactful the class was on an individual level. But even at a wider scope, we had another family come in and they were just so blown away to see what their children were making in our classes. And we got to introduce them to the Master Food Preserver program, which they had never heard about. I'm often told that we're like the best kept secret, and that breaks my heart because we're here for the community. So it was really great seeing this collaboration. We were able to be that extension and really offer more resources to the public. And they wanted more resources, they wanted more cooking classes. So we were able to connect them with Master Food Preserver. They were running a separate class through the local library. And that family did go and participate in their lessons as well. So it was really great to see just the larger impact that this class had. And like I mentioned before, many of them shared with us afterwards that they took what they learned from the class and shared it with their family as well. And if we can go to our next slide. Just a few things since I posted to the UC Delivers blog. Well, we'll hear more from them later today, but the ANR News and Information Outreach in Spanish, or NOS, they picked up our story and they contacted us and they got to work with one of my colleagues, Miguel Diaz, to make a video in Spanish highlighting the work that we did over the summer with Teens Love Cooking. So it's really great that we have that resource in another language now to share out as well. In addition, we also expanded our programming to San Luis Obispo County. We took what we learned from Teens Love Cooking and we applied it with the Boys and Girls Club. So we got to work with a younger group of students, and we also still partnered with the Master Food Preserver program. So that was a big hit and worked really well. Additionally, for CalFresh Healthy Living, we have success stories that we are required to report annually. And like Jennifer mentioned, the UC Delivers blog template is so well thought out that I actually use that template for my success stories now. So it's a great way just to take your data and put it into a story format. So I really enjoy using the blog format for my reporting. And then just lastly, here I am on Town Hall with all of you, and I'm able to share and highlight the awesome work that we're doing here in our counties. And that would not have been possible had I not posted to the blog. So I hope that whether you're an academic or an educator, that if you have a story to tell, that you're feeling more motivated to post it to the UC Delivers blog and share your story with all of us to read as well. And if we can go to our last slide. I just left my contact here for you in case you have any questions about the project that I shared about, or if you just want to pick my brain about what my experience was posting to the blog. I'm happy to connect with you. The best way to reach me is my email, but there's my office information as well. And we will also post in the chat the link to our notes video for you to view afterwards as well. So thank you, everyone, and I'll hand it back to Pam.
Thanks, Kelly. Someone asked, what curriculum did you use?
Yes, we use the Cooking for Health Academy curriculum.
Great. Jackie and I need to take your class. And Brian was noting that that's great workforce development if people can get certificates for this training. Let's see, I don't see any other questions. Did I miss anything? Maybe we'll move on then. Thank you very much. That's great. I'll have to try some of those recipes too. So next up, we have Ricardo Vela. He'll tell us about how he can help you reach Latino audiences. Do we have Ricardo on?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you, Pam. And thank you, Kelly. What a nice segue into my presentation. I just put the link of the video that Miguel Sanchez created. It was a wonderful story and needed to be told to all the Spanish-speaking audience that we have. Good afternoon. My name is Ricardo Vela. I'm the News and Information Outreach in Spanish Manager, and it's an honor to be able to talk and present to you what we do and how we can support your outreach and promote the UCANR mission to serve all Californians. But first, let me present to you and tell you who our audience is, and just a quick x-ray of the Latino community in California. In 2019, residents of California, Latino residents, were about 15.6 million, becoming the largest ethnic group in the state. That means 2 in every 5 Californians, that's 40.3, identify as Latino. Next slide. The 15.6 million Latinos in California account for nearly 1/3 of the nation's Hispanic population, and the larger share of Latinos is found in Southern and Central California, as we can see in the map. Next slide, please. Among the Latino community, we have what I call the forgotten Latinos. That's, we're talking about 350,000 indigenous Oaxacas, primarily concentrated in the Central Valley and Los Angeles, San Diego counties, and the Coachella Valley. 165,000 live and work in California fields. Next slide. The Latino community is increasingly gaining political influence in California, from U.S. senators to state legislators. We have today 32.5 of the California legislature, that is 80 assembly seats and 40 Senate seats. Next slide, please. Let's talk about who we are. And we have been part of the UCANR family, UC family, since 1981, providing the tools to reach out to Latino families in California. And now, who is our audience, you may ask? Let's go to the next slide, please. Based on informal research conducted in the last 6 years, our audience spans from young adults to seniors with the following breakdown. You can see on screen the demographic and the percentage of that demographic that we have captured thus far. Next slide, please. In terms of gender, we serve a diverse community, 45% being male and 55% female. And how we reach to them. In this slide, I'm presenting the 18 to 25, male and female. Normally, we target radio and those radio stations who play pop music in Spanish. And social media platform, Instagram and TikTok. 25 to 45 is a very important demographic, especially for the female, because it's the most sought after. From any point, they have a lot of more money to spend. Both male and female work in families. So weeklies, those newspapers, print media that you see walking out of the supermarket or walking in as you want, those are very targeted to this demographic: podcast, TV, and print, and social media platform, Instagram and YouTube. And then you have the rest of the information there. Let's go to the next slide. The best way what we offer and how we support our all of you actually is giving you the best way to better understanding Latinos and their cultural differences. And let's go to the next slide, please. This is an example that I always like to use because San Diego is a very diverse region in the San Diego County, and it gives me the perfect example, which is the people who live in the southern part of San Diego. They are more connected with Mexico with Tijuana, which is heavily populated, Latino populated. They think and they gather their news through Mexican media outlets. They don't watch as much American TV or media or information. They gather more through social media when it comes to the United States, or they use Mexican media outlets. So there's a different approach is required to reach out successfully to them. The central part of San Diego is home of predominantly Central America population and demanding a tailored outreach strategy. In the county Northeast, which consists mainly of middle class of Mexican descent and first generation immigrants, some with college education, is a different approach. So that was need to be implemented. And in the Northwest, we find farm workers, many of whom are Mexican indigenous from Oaxaca, and it is essential to consider their language of comfort as means of an effective communication. Next slide, please. Since 1981, we have been offering translation services. Right now, we only offer English to Spanish, Spanish to English. We're looking that in a very short term, in the very near future, we will be able to offer in those languages that you see listed in there. Next slide, please. And thanks to our valuable partnership with Spanish media in media outlets such as Telemundo, Univision, Radio Bilingüe, and Radio Indígena, also the print media, we have been able to reach out to, next slide please, to 80% of the Latino population. That is in the state of California. That's the way we tell UC ANR success stories and science-based information to better the lives of all Californians. We have a partnership with 17 publications, daily, weeklies, and monthly in Spanish through the state. We have 5 radio networks, each one with 5 to 7 different broadcasting outlets, and we have 12 TV stations within the state. Next slide, please. This is one example of a marketing campaign that we created, and this is Breakfast on the Playground that we developed for the Coachella Valley Unified Child Nutrition Services. This is, let's watch the video and I'll talk a little bit more about it.
Un desayuno nutritivo es lo que necesitas para arrancar con el pie derecho. Te da energía, te llena de nutrientes y son los aspectos claves que necesitas para conquistar tus metas en el mundo académico, en los deportes y en tu desarrollo personal.
Yo soy la maestra García, enseño 6º grado en la escuela Saúl Martínez. Yo veo que los estudiantes que desayunan tienden a estar más alertas durante la clase.
Recuerde, el desayuno crea campeones.
Next slide, please. As you see, we use a very strategically, and we also use some of the kids for the TV spots and social media spots. And we reached 1.1 million people. Demographic was, our target was 25 to 45, which is the parents of the kids. We got 100% engagement. Every time that TV spot was on the air, they were glued to it. And the reason was they wanted to see their kids, they wanted to see the teachers, they wanted to see the schools they're in. So culturally, not only engage them, but also the tia, the cousin, the abuelita, everybody were, and that's where we target the 45 to 65 with a 90% engagement. The results were excellent. We got 45 to 50% increase in participation, student participation in the breakfast program. They were almost losing their funding, so thanks to this campaign, they were able to continue with it. Next slide, please. The second campaign that we did and was very successful also, we won some awards with it. It was to promote health and empower Latinos in community, and this is for COVID-19 vaccination. And this, not only we target the Spanish-speaking Latino audience, but also the indigenous, the Mexican indigenous communities, and we translated those same spots in 4 different indigenous languages. Let's take a look at the video.
Chami na yibi di kanin jiwani na sa mi wakuna yo so kontinda na di kanin na china ba akiata sa tata mi wakuna yo koni sa na hi virus chaki tawa ni shinindo na sa kwe enunto si sakya kunya kacha na mi vacuna yo que sasa antata. Conchando minto, conchando na sinita ajindo, conchando na sinita ajindo ta conchando na taando. Chinche na yivi kuni chavo, kwa akiun achikiun.
Vacúnate ya.
Thank you. Let's go to the next slide, please. And this was in Mixteco, was one of the indigenous languages that we use. And we got, I mean, incredible results, to be honest. We got all demographics, TV, radio, 100% engagement, same thing every time the spot was on air, they were glued to it. And social media, the 18 to 25, we only got them their attention 65%. But also we made a little history because that was the first time Univision aired a TV spot that was not in a language, other language rather than Spanish. So that was, they were impressed. They did a study case on the partnership that we created, and we got awards and we got the message, and we were very happy with it. So let's go to the next slide. Now empowering Latinos with vital scientific alerts through NOS. And this slide, please. This is what we have created. Like, for instance, there was very little literature about what to do in case of fires and wildfires. We worked with our experts. We translated these documents. We created some videos about it. Let's go to the next slide, please. Also with same with another experts from UC and from UC-ANR on avian influenza, Newcastle disease, actions and symptoms. You can see the rest. And we have been targeting, like the one with the Asian citrus syphilis that we see the graphic here. We got 375 views on YouTube the very same day we posted. So the message is there. Let's go to the next slide. We're collaborating with UC-ANR researchers to bring science-based information to all Latinos. Let's go to the next slide, please. Promoting your success story, we have our own platforms. We have a monthly podcast, engaging videos in social media. We do a bilingual monthly newsletter that we share with our media partners, blog in Spanish that we also share with the media partners. Let's go to the next slide. This is one example. This is Nutrition in a Minute. We did a series of 2 weeks with Susana Matias, a specialist in nutrition research from UCCE Berkeley. Let's go to the next slide. With Samuel Sandoval, water specialist and researcher from UCCE Davis. We had worked climate change, and we did also growing agave and the importance of agave in agricultural aspect in California. Next, let's slide. And I need to mention that agave story in the 3 days gathered more than 400 views on YouTube as well, organically. We haven't promoted at that point. Same thing with the when we collaborated with Niam Quinn in the Integrated Pest Management Program. We got this video on rats, invasive pests, and with this particular video, we got 60K views in the first 4 months. We have one about is bedbugs that has surpassed anything that we have ever done in UC-ANR. Let's go to the next video, please. We contribute to the professional development by offering best practices. You see some of the workshops that we offer, and I wanted to advertise a little bit. Be aware, we're going to send in an invitation because we're doing a shooting to editing, how to create a compelling and culturally relevant video story with your iPhone or smartphone. We're going to be in a community near you, so I hope you guys are interested and register for this workshop. Next slide, please. Notes by the number: 70.5 million people were reached through marketing campaigns, 200 plus documents translated to Spanish yearly, 200% increase in social media followers in the last 4 years, and 25 media partners in California, a total audience of 8 million people. And we have collaborated thus far with 35 plus researchers. And also, I want to mention that we have more than double the engagement numbers in our social media platforms in Spanish than we have in English in UCANR. Next slide, please. This is the NOS team. This is a wonderful team that I work with every day. They help me make things happen and the magical things that we do. And next slide, please. If you want to work with the Latino community, we know the Latino community. We are the Latino community. We are NOS. That's my information. That's my number. And please feel free to contact me. Also, you can visit, if we go to the next slide, please, visit our platforms. And also you can visit our page on the communications toolkit, and you will find some of the forms and a little bit more about NOS. And we would love to keep working with you guys.
Ricardo, Stephanie asks, is there any way to know how many people were able to access vaccinations after having seen the ad?
Unfortunately, we didn't do that because it was at the very beginning of COVID, and we didn't have those numbers, unfortunately. We know for a fact that we influenced some of them, but we don't have an exact number of how many, because of the ad, went to get vaccinated.
Thank you, Ricardo. That's terrific. There's so much information that may not be available in Spanish, if not for the NOS team. So I really appreciate your work.
Thank you.
And I hope that all of you will take the opportunity to work with the NOS team to get your information out to people who can use it. Next slide, please. This is just a sampling of some of our experts who were quoted in the news recently. You can see there's quite a wide range of topics, from wine to caviar. And Anton Cornell, who's based at Kearney Rec, his research on genetically modified mosquitoes to prevent the spread of malaria was featured in the New York Times. And that's a picture of him instructing someone how to collect the mosquitoes to see if they're infected. Next slide, please. So these are some of our new colleagues. I hope that you'll take a look at the list and see whom you may be working with. And we have a few photos of them. I know V is based here in the ANR building in Davis, working for the BOC. And Raymond, I guess he was hired as a staff research assistant, and now he is the almond fruit advisor in Fresno. So it's great to see someone join the organization and move up. Next slide, please. So other updates. We have Emily Delk here from Development Services to tell us about Giving Tuesday. Next slide. Emily?
Thanks so much, Pam. So UC ANR is once again participating in the Global Day of Philanthropy known as Giving Tuesday. This digital fundraising campaign is held the Tuesday following Thanksgiving in the United States. So please mark your calendar for November 28th this year. And last year in 2022, UC ANR donors collectively gave nearly $90,000 on Giving Tuesday to the programs that mean the most to them. And you can be not only one of those donors, but also one of those benefiting programs. So social media platforms are where we invite support for this campaign. And you can see here some screenshots. I call them my social media shout outs to some groups that did a really outstanding job promoting their work in the past. Registration is open now, and so far we have nearly 40 groups registered to participate in the campaign, and it's not too late. So I'll drop the link for registration in the chat, and then of course you can see my contact information on the bottom of the slide. I would love to chat with you and help you strategize around this campaign. So best of luck to everybody on Giving Tuesday this year.
Great. Thanks, Emily. Let's get those donations. And for those of you who are new to UC-ANR and wondering how are ANR strategic initiatives connected with program teams and work groups, well, we have a webinar for you. On November 13th, Rachel Searles and the Sustainable Food System Strategic Initiative is going to be talking about how you can connect with them and get involved. So mark your calendar for November 13th. And maybe we can drop that link in the chat. Next slide, please. That's to let our colleagues in Humboldt, Del Norte, and everyone who's worked with Dorina know that our thoughts are with her and her family and all of you. Oh, I also wanted to mention the ANR at Work survey. If you haven't completed it, please do it, and it's due tomorrow. If you lost the email, go back and look for the email that was sent on September 26th from Glenda Humiston. It's got a unique link for you. Liliana, I think that Yana is planning something, a memorial for Dorina, but there's no news on that yet. We'll share that out when we get word. Thanks for asking. And I think that's all we have. Our next town hall is going to be November 16th, and our colleagues at UC San Diego will be here to present results from our customer satisfaction survey. So tune in for that. And thank you very much to our presenters and to all of you for making time to spend with us on this town hall. Thank you.
Thanks, Pam. Thanks, everybody.